DM is considered an eyewitness. An eyewitness testimony is some of, if not the most impactful testimony in a trial. The testimony must be subject to close scrutiny before its admission is allowed. We seek that the use of the descriptor, bushy eyebrows, be excluded from use at trial because the witness with this descriptor is completely uncertain of what she remembers, and her description is derived from seeing the intruder for only a second. Whether this court applies Manson-Biggers, which I would say is not completely right on point because there wasn't a photo lineup and there wasn't a show up, or the court considers the science behind memory. The criteria you must look at is what factors influence the accuracy of the memory and make the testimony reliable, because reliability is the linchpin in determining the admissibility of identification testimony. Between Manson-Biggers and the science of memory, there are several factors that are consistently considered, and I'm going to go through a few of those. Factor one, what was the opportunity to see? This is also known as first phase of development of memory or the acquisition phase, and distance, lighting, and duration of exposure are important. DM is uncertain about the lighting. The stairs to her left were not lit. The kitchen may or may not have been lit, and the twinkle lights in the living room may have been lit. She described seeing the person for, quote, only a second, end quote. The person may have been 3 feet from her, or he may have been walking to exit out the back sliding glass door. The back door is further than 3 feet from her door and is not visible from where she was standing. We submitted 2 pictures as our exhibits to show you the vantage point of where she was standing in her bedroom. Her opportunity to see supports unreliability. Factor 2, the witness's degree of attention. This is where amount of alcohol has a significant impact on the analysis. She described herself as, quote, probably very drunk, and given the amount of alcohol she told law enforcement about consuming the entire day, that makes sense. She started with champagne mimosas in the morning, then White Claws 9 to 10 throughout the day. Then that night before she got home, she was involved in a drinking game and drank Borg, which is hard alcohol and flavoring. Her degree of attention, given this, supports unreliability. Factor 3, the accuracy of the description. Her description is that she saw a person wearing all black, not insanely tall. She doesn't know if she saw lips and nose. She is certain he is white. She never mentions eyebrows herself initially. The person who asked about eyebrows was law enforcement. In her second interview, Detective Mowry asked her if she saw the eyes, saw eyebrows. She never said anything about bushy eyebrows. Then in her third interview with Detective Gooch, she said she didn't know what the eyes looked like or the color of the eyebrows. That's for the first time that she mentioned bushy eyebrows. This lack of accuracy supports unreliability. Factor 4, what is the level of certainty of the witness? In each of the 5 interviews, she says over and over again, she doesn't know if anything she says is accurate because she felt like she was in a dream state, frozen shock, fuzzy and cloudy, like wearing blurry glasses, influenced by alcohol, and sleepy. She has an absolute lack of certainty. This supports unreliability. Factor 5, the science of memory looks to confabulation. When the acquisition of memory, the first factor that I talked about is impacted by emotion and stress. In this case, that is an important consideration. Confabulation is defined as the creation or substitution of false memories through later suggestions that fill in the gaps of missing memory. DM expresses in each interview how she was afraid and did not know what she was hearing, and also contradicts this when she thought everything was, quote, okay, and XK was simply just passed out on the floor. Later suggestion under this definition of confabulation is Detective Mowry asking her about eyebrows and each law enforcement officer then reinforcing that in each interview. She never used the word balaclava, yet Detective Gooch asked her if she had ever heard of one, explained what one was and that it's used to hide identity, showed her a picture of one, and then had her draw one. This is law enforcement filling in the gaps. This also impacts the last factor, which is factor 6, post-event misinformation effect impacting retained information, exposure to subsequent information. Law enforcement, upon initial appearance at the scene, did not ever break up all of the people that were there. They then go to the police station, and after that, on the night of November 13th, those that were at the house when law enforcement arrived stayed together in a hotel room. So the DM was basically together with other witnesses from the time that when they first called friends to come to the house, before they called law enforcement, all the way through the night. She was interviewed twice by law enforcement. That created this exposure to bushy eyebrows. And then that term was used in the probable cause affidavit, and the media seized upon it from the very beginning, causing post-event exposure, which affects how DM's memory is retained. This factor supports unreliability. When you look at all of these factors, or the totality of the circumstances, the way the state argues it, the linchpin, the reliability is not there. The state wants to bolster a person who admittedly has no clear memory with a photo of Mr. Kohberger to say, this is the person she identified. DM told police that she looked at Mr. Kohberger's arrest picture and did not recognize him. The state cannot run around her unreliability by entering into evidence a photo to show it's a person that she says she cannot identify, because the state's interpretation is that Mr. Kohberger's photo shows bushy eyebrows. That is misleading to the jury. It will confuse the jury. It will be putting words into the mouth of DM that do not exist. While they might not seek to do that on the stand with her by admitting a photo through her testimony off of his phone, if they make the argument in an opening statement that that description of bushy eyebrows is supported by a photo taken on his phone the next day, that kind of prejudice is beyond repair. The state also claims that because DM draws pictures of eyes and eyebrows, she is more reliable in her identification of them. But that is not the way law enforcement appeared to have viewed the artwork as they photographed it and reported on it. Given the science of memory and its acquisition, retention, and retrieval, this could be what is filling in her memory gaps as opposed to actual memory. When you apply the critical factors that a court must take into consideration for eyewitness testimony regarding identification, the words bushy eyebrows should be excluded. The heart of the issue is whether or not the witness is reliable enough on the issue to let the words be spoken to the jury when it comes to the description. DM said that she could not do a composite sketch because she doesn't think she saw a face. The court should enter an order excluding the words. Thank you.